There's a lot of people out there, potentially, including myself, who in, well, a couple of months' time might end up with a reform council. Fingers crossed we don't, but as they say, you never know. Um, and I think the question obviously asked by a lot of people is, well, what do you do? What do you do if you have a council like this, where you're trying to get services or access to something, or bring attention to something, and you have a reform council that, as we've been seen, is just well full of incompetence, idiots, fools, lunatics that would rather waste their time deciding which flag to fly above the council building instead of, I don't know, discussing something really important, like, I don't know, send issues or even care issues, because those are the two primary things that most councils are. They are the two biggest sources of like financial commitments that councils have to do. So those are probably the two things. So what do you do? Um, First of all, you go to your local newspaper. That's the first thing, and I would highly encourage you to do so. Go to your local newspaper. You can write to them and say, "Hey, this is happening. We've tried to engage with the council, the councillor. They're not responding." Then your next recourse should be opposition councillors. Write to them and say, "Hey, this is going on. We're not sure what's going on. We're not getting any responses. You know, we need help, our advice and assistance, and we're not getting it from them." After that, your next recourse should then be your MP, because this is where it is currently in Derbyshire, where you've had send families that have been, trying to get the council to say, "Hey, the past couple of months since you guys have got in charge, we've been trying to, sort stuff out for our kids, get them, learning programs, etc. So support. It's not happening. It's not being forthcoming. What's been going on?" Well, what's of course changed is, well, they've got a new council. Of course, that, of course, if you may remember, is now a reform council. Luckily, of course, they've still got a Labour MP. It might be quite different if you had a reform MP, that's for sure. I haven't heard too much about how, should we say, Lee Anderson's handling things, or um, Richard Tice, or even Farage. Well, we've heard about Farage a bit, but what happens if you do get, you know, that council and it gets stacked with reform and you're having problems like this? What do you do? So make no mistake, there are actions you can take, but really, until the next election, and actually, always remember that the next time this election rolls around, remind people and shout from the rooftops, when these people are in charge, or when this person, we went to them with these issues, you did not answer, you did not respond. Go to their hustings every moment you can on social media. Tell people locally what's going on. Get these people to realize they're idiots, they're incompetent, and they have no idea what they are doing. Because, as we were about to say, this does have real world consequences, as we keep on bringing up that point. So, before we go on more into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and of course subscribe button down below as well. There is now also the again the bell button, so do remember to of course ring the bell, so you get notifications of when we go live, etc. And of course, as always, down below there are links to the Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee. We can well buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there is the YouTube membership down below as well. So let's go cracking on then into this issue from Derbyshire, where the MP has got involved because the council is not stepping in to help these families. So the Bolsover MP, Natalie Fleet, has now heard firsthand now from desperately fighting families are now facing to try and get their children with special needs education the provision that they actually need. At a roundtable held early this month, parents, grandparents, and carers spoke about the daily struggles that they were now facing trying to get support from their children from Derbyshire's County Council's SEND Special Needs and Education Disabilities Department. Now, there could be other reasons behind this as well. This isn't entirely potentially just a reform problem, but as you'll see in a moment, the blame now lies on their doorstep. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones who should be coming up with solutions. Remember, they boldly proclaimed during the local elections, they have the ones with all the answers, they've got all the solutions. So where are they? That is the case. So families went on to describe the emotional and now financial toll this broken system has now had on them, and they talked at length about sending emails, filing complaints that go completely unanswered. 43 separate complaints have all been raised locally with the Bolsover MP, Natalie Fleet, who organised the meeting. She said that Derbyshire County Council actually needs to face these families and actually explain what is going on. We cannot go on like this. Harley Baker, a mother from Bolsover, who was also attending the meeting, said she was completely disillusioned with the lack of help available. She took matters into her own hands by starting a small home education group. She now runs this from the Bolsover parish rooms, helping now to support other families in very similar situations. Matt Waycroft, the father of the South Normanton and local business owner, shared how he printed off hundreds of thousands of emails that he had sent to the council and even tied them with a ribbon. I mean, says it all. Says it all. And we keep on bringing this up time and time again. If they do nothing, this is not a good thing. Do not think that, when we often go, oh, look, reform aren't doing anything. This is the reality when they do nothing. As you can see in that picture there, hundreds of emails tied up with a ribbon. I need help. My child needs help. What is this? I'm sending a complaint. Goes completely unanswered. So anyway, it continues. He wanted to make it very clear just how desperate it is now to actually be heard. After months now of feeling ignored while trying to secure right support for his daughter, several of the parents said they had also now been forced to give up work either completely or to even now homeschool or care for their children full time. Some are now waiting for tribunals just to access help their children should be entitled to. And that is going to cost the council money. Remember, you can do this. That is very much a system of last resort, taking your council to a tribunal, but that is going to cost the council a lot of money, having to go through that tribunal process. So you'd think reform would want to avoid that type of thing, but no, apparently not. There was also a very strong sense that the council had, of course, been very too slow to act and now too quick now to dismiss those with concerns. Miss Fleet has now asked every parent to actually write to Derbyshire County Council directly. She pledged now to push for a meeting between the council officers and local families, saying she would now personally take the mums and dads, aunties, granddads, and grandmas to sit down with the decision makers to get answers. The MP also raised Derbyshire's send issues and problems on BBC Two's Politics Live show last week, directly with Sarah Pochin of Reform UK, the party that, of course, now runs Derbyshire County Council. And then this is where it gets even more insane. Because you've got to remember, their whole ideology, their ethos is if someone is claiming money from the government, that they shouldn't be trusted. Because why would you need to claim money from the government for any reason is their mantra. You must clearly be doing something wrong. Their attitude on this, very, very much so, Reform's attitude on this. It's that bizarre, as we said before, that bizarre libertarian free market fundamentalist ideology. In response to this, in response to actually Natalie's description of her constituents' plight, Pochin suggested it was down to the SEN system being abused. She said the primary reason of getting kids to school is with the parents. There's an awful lot of abuse now of the system. So, these parents trying to get support for their kids because they might have special needs education. Oh no, they're just abusing the system. Anyway, Natalie, of course, then challenged that view, explaining that the families in her constituencies were just simply fighting, trying to get basics. She said, what is happening here is not an abuse of the system. It is a system that is broken, and these families are doing everything they can to actually protect their children's futures. Derbyshire County Council has issued an apology to the families affected by these send delays across the county and promised improvements. Councillor Jack Brady, Derbyshire's council's cabinet member for SEND and Education, said that as part of Derbyshire's local area partnership delivering SEND services, and of course support, we know we need to do better and apologise to all those children, young people, and families affected by all these challenges as we try and now work together to make the required improvements. I have a feeling we'll be talking about this again in a couple of months' time when there has been no improvement on this. The partnership, he continued to say, faces all these challenges, like a significant number of local authorities, a very similar situation due to rising demand, a need now for significant additional funding and national reform, as well as now other more local issues. I've been taking a hands-on approach to improving support for children and young people with special needs education, visiting a wide range of schools in Derbyshire, including now alternative provision settings, special schools, mainstream schools. These visits have spanned both academy and mainstream schools, offering valuable insight into diverse education requirements across the county. The aim is now to try and better understand the challenges they face by these schools and families to try and identify practical ways to strengthen support for pupils with SEND. So he's doing nothing but visit schools. Oh, great. Sure, he might be getting the experience, but at what point is he actually going to propose a policy? Is he going to do something? Anyway, he continued, being on the ground, of course, seeing it firsthand of what his life is like for schools. It is, of course, very vital. It helps shape a more effective and responsive policy. But what is your policy going to be? And ensure, of course, that voice for the children, young people, and their families now heard at the heart of decision making. The council's partners all established a SEND Improvement and Assurance Board with an independent chair following the inspection by Ofsted for Care and the Quality Commission back in September of 2024. The board has now input from all partners, including parents, carers, and families from across Derbyshire, meets monthlies, and works now with a robust plan to try and drive forward improvements at pace, try to address key issues to improving family assessments, reduce waiting times, and enhancing communication with families to increase local provision. So here's the thing. That is already in place. This SEND Improvement and Assurance Board already in place since last September. Has he met with this board? Has he taken on any of their recommendations? Has he even spoke to anyone on that board? Has he even spoke to the independent chair? Has he taken on any recommendations about how they can, I don't know, maybe improve some of the stuff? Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it, honestly, to me. So, as usual, reform, I'm screwing up and screwing up massively. I say this every time. This type of stuff, when they get in, leads to bad outcomes. Just because I say they're doing nothing and think, oh, wow, phew, they're doing nothing. That must be a good thing, right? Oh, no. Them doing nothing has just as bad and worse outcomes as if they might suddenly decide to do something crazy or introduce some bizarre policy. So make no mistake, if they get in and you think, oh, wow, phew, they're doing nothing. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. That will have real world implications, just as you are seeing here. You have a guy who was in charge for that, the cabinet member. What's he doing? Oh, I'm visiting schools. I'm trying to understand this stuff. Oh, we've got an independent review and improvement board. Have you had a meeting with that independent review and improvement board? Have you taken on any of their recommendations? Have you spoken to them about what policy maybe you could implement? I don't think so. Doesn't sound like it. So yeah, real world problems from them doing nothing. So, we're coming up to November, those next set of local elections. Be very, very careful. Very, very careful indeed. Make sure you get out and you're voting because all of a sudden you might find it very difficult. Very difficult indeed to interact with your local council if you suddenly start having problems. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button on the way out. And of course, don't forget to ring the bell as well. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.